Dear learners, today is a part of block 2 of the course Sustainability Science on basic of the Sustainability Science, course 2, block 2 Sustainability Science. Today's session we shall discuss on sustainability indicators. Here we are touching upon concept of indicators, its characteristics, use and users, types, sustainability indicators, and some of the commonly used sustainability indicators, and how we see the sustainability, means different vision of sustainability in this session. When we talk about sustainability, we need to measure it. If you look into chapter 40 of Agenda 21, that acknowledges that commonly used indicators such as gross national product, measurement of individual source or pollution flows do not provide adequate indication of sustainability, and states that indicators of sustainable development need to be developed to provide solid basis for decision making at all levels and to contribute to a self-regulating sustainability of integrated environment development system. Then what is indicator, or what are indicators? Indicators are symbolic representation. For example, maybe numbers, symbols, graphics, colors, design to communicate a property or trend in a complex system or an entity. Indicators often are distinguished from raw data and statistics in that they contain references value, such as benchmark, threshold, baseline, and target. Now, all these values have various functions, but the most important is to transform those meaningless data into information. These are basic characteristics of indicators. A reference might be a target, means from a distance to a target. A reference might be a baseline, distance to a certain meaningful state. Threshold value, distance to a collapse. And reference may be a year, change in time. Or benchmark can be used as a reference when we differentiate among different countries. So all these reference points, it lend a meaning and political weight to data and are used mostly in the interpretation of indicators. The indicators needs to be looked from use and user's point of view. So indicators, basic characteristic of indicators from that point is, it's a communication tools. If you fail to communicate, then such kind of indicators has become worthless. And indicators must communicate to a variety of different actors. So like some users need a simple indicator. Some users need structured information like voters, the non-specialist media and decision makers. They need structured information. Whereas others prefer an intermediate level, an interdisciplinary of detail like local government, policy implementer, non-government organization, funding bodies, industries. For them, they need those indicators in that level of intermediate level. And if you look into the users, policymakers in economics, they need more technical information. So when we develop the indicators, user involvement is important for designing and for acceptance by the users. Stakeholders may have local knowledge that can contribute to more effective indicators. And if we participate, or community participation, This will ensure relevance to the decision-making process, political commitment, ownership of the result. And if we look in the process, in this participatory process, it can also reveal conflicting social interests, conflicting values, and preferences that must be taken into account. So the quality of the process is very important. Then it should be acceptance or accepted by the users. And acceptance and the use of indicators has become a continuing challenge. Because, for example, say any of the indicators that reflect badly on politicians, corporate executives, and senior officials will be rejected or suppressed. And most indicators of sustainable development show negative trends on that. We have to understand. That's why a careful indicator development process, outside pressure and objectivity will be necessary to overcome all this outcome. So democratic process help to ensure access to all. One of the critically important enabling condition for democratic participation is capacity building. This applies broadly to all indicator processes, not only to indicators of sustainable development, and it is needed in several areas. There is a need to improve the capacity of decision makers to understand and use of indicators, especially in relation to setting and monitoring targets. That's right. Capacity also must be built, particularly in developing countries, to increase public participation in the process of defining indicators and setting targets of sustainability. This requires that public understand the role and use of indicators. So you can look into scale and the framework. Its measurability, quantitative and qualitative, then available of data. The quality of indicator can be judged on 5 methodological dimensions. They are purpose and appropriateness in scale and accuracy, measurability, representation of the phenomenon concern, reliability and feasibility, and communicability to the target audience. There is seldom a perfect indicator, so the design generally involves some methodological trade-off between technical feasibility, societal usability, and systemic consistency. In the process, we allow it seem desirable to enhance data quality and to develop new data sets on a number of issues and scale. Indicators can go into costly enterprises, so such kind of practice should be avoided. And what are the types of indicator? So based on methods of construction level of aggregation, indicators can be. There are different types of indicator. There are indicator, simple indicator, aggregated indicator, composite indicator, and index. The simple indicator includes results from the processing to various extent and interpretation of primary data. Example, sulfur dioxide emission for a particular country per year or employment rates of a country, of a district, in a simple way. The aggregated indicator, this combines usually by an additive aggregation methods a number of components, data or sub-indicator that define the same units. For example, SI units or something like tons or monetary units. This example includes material flow aggregate at domestic material consumption, the Living Planet Index, or the GDP. Another type is composite indicator. This combines various aspects of a given phenomenon based on a sometimes very complex concept into a single number with a common unit. For example, in years or hypothetical hectares. Indicators like life expectancy and ecological footprints are examples of composite indicator. The last type, that is index. It generally takes the form of a single dimensionless number. Indices mostly require the transformation of data measured in different units to produce a single number. Examples include the Human Development Index, Air Quality Index. Then what is sustainability indicators or indicators of sustainability? The indicators of sustainability, it should measure characteristic or process of the human environmental system that ensure its continuity and functionality far into the future. In 1995, the United Nations Commission on Environment Development became the first to work on development of sustainability indicators in global level. Then the European Union Sustainable Development Indicator Task Force 2020-01 was founded that supported the further development of the indicators. Then coming to some of the existing specific indicators. So in this way, the indicators of sustainable development, indicators of sustainability was developed at different level. So few of the existing specific indicators are Commission on Sustainable Development Indicators set, UNCSD 2001, Millennium Development Goals Indicator, FDGs Indicator, UNEP Global Environment Outlook Indicator, Structural Indicators of European Commission, Human Development Index, as known, it is very common, United Kingdom Headline Indicators, and Material Flow Analysis Based Indicator. The Energy Flow Analysis Based Indicator, Ecological Footprint, Living in Planet Index, Environmental Sustainability Index, Environmental Vulnerability Index, Well-being of Nation, Biodiversity Indicators. These are some of the indicators. Driving Force Pressure State Impact Response Framework, 3-pillar versus 4-pillar framework, Corruption Perception Index, Freedom Index, Well-being Index. So among all these index, let us look into some of the important index which commonly used by different organizations and institutions for different purpose. Among them, UN DSR model, Driving Force State Response, is one of the important index used by different sustainability analysts. The basic characteristic of this index is it talks about social aspect of sustainable development, economic aspect of sustainable development, environmental aspect of sustainable development, that further subdivided into water, land, and atmosphere, then institutional aspect of sustainable development. You will see here, dashboard of sustainability is also one of the important indicator. It is an indicator software tool developed by the European Joint Research Center in Prague. This dashboard of sustainability represents complex relationship between economic, social, and environmental issues in a highly communicative format aimed at decision makers and citizens interested in sustainable development. It contains various indicator sets, including the UNCSD and the MDG sets. It's a tool, not an indicator itself. It allows various aggregation mechanisms. It is user-friendly. It includes statistical tool for testing simple hypotheses. Design is very attractive. It allows good link between different pillars like social, environment, economy. Ecological footprint indicator. The ecological footprint is the corresponding area of productive land and aquatic ecosystem needed to produce the resources used and assimilate the waste produced by defined population at a specified material standard of living, wherever on earth that land may be located. Thus, this ecological footprint is a measure of the load imposed by a given population in nature. It deals with the important aspect of sustainability, that is carrying capacity, overconsumption, and biocapacity. But it covers, as you know, only the environmental pillars. When you talk about sustainability, we need to understand three basic pillars. And if we look, the limitation of this ecological footprint is that the quality of data varies across indicators and countries. So we can use this data at the national level only, but can be applied at any scale, including individuals. The Environmental Sustainability Index, which is developed by Yale Center for Environmental Law and Policy and the Center for International Earth Science Information Network at Columbia University, is an aggregated index capturing the environmental dimensions of sustainability and is based on a set of 21 core indicators, each of which combines 3 to 6 variables for a total of 76 underlying variables. The another indicator, Global Environmental Outlook Indicator. It's a set of indicators highlighting the key global and regional environmental issues, which is developed by UNEP. It's a set of 18 indicators and which was published in the Global Environmental Outlook Yearbook in 2003. They highlight some of the key global and regional environmental issues and the trends identified in GEO reports. And indicators are structured along the themes of atmosphere, natural disaster, forest, biodiversity, coastal and marine areas, freshwater, global environmental issues. UN Development Index, which is developed by United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. It is a composite index that measures a country's average achievement in 3 basic aspects of human development. Means quality of life, in terms of longevity, knowledge, and a decent standard of living, which is measured by income. It integrates a small number of variables to keep the indicator simple. But the quality of data is high data quality and reliability is dear. It is basically used for national level. There is no such target to use this, but it doesn't consider environmental issues. And if you look into one of the important advantages with this Human Development Index is it is one easy to communicate number and frequently used by developing country governments. Another very common indicator is Living Planet Index. It is an aggregated indicator promoted by the World Wildlife Fund. The LPI is an indicator of the state of the world's biodiversity. It measures trends in population of vertebrate species living in the terrestrial, freshwater, and marine ecosystem around the world. The LPI is the average of 3 separate indices measuring changes in abundance of 555 terrestrial, 323 freshwater, and 267 marine species around the world. Then if you look into the progresses, the global efforts in bringing and achieving sustainable development, and we have seen another that is Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, which is a set of goals commonly accepted as a framework for measuring development progress developed by the United Nations. As we know, it has 8 goals and 18 targets with 48 indicators. When MDG indicators was developed, 5 main criteria guided the selection of indicators. First, it provides relevant, robust measures of progress towards targets of the Millennium Development Goals. It should be clear and straightforward to interpret and provide a basis for international comparison. It was broadly consistent with other global lists and avoid imposing unnecessary burden on country teams, governments, and other partners. Based on the greatest extent possible on the international standards, recommendations, and best practices, constructed from well-established data source, quantifiable and consistent to enable measurement over time. Then the latest one, Sustainable Development Goals, with 17 goals, 169 targets, and it has 247 indicators. And its development it is written at 231. So we can tag this 247 indicators. In this also, is SDGs indicators, 5 criteria for indicator selection were used to determine suitable metrics for inclusion in the global SDG index and dashboard. They are global relevance and applicability to a broad range of country settings, statistical adequacy, timeline, data quality, and its coverage. So this is how the indicators are developing across the globe, and the latest one which globally to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030, SDG has 169 target and more than 230 indicators. The details we will have in another session. Again, when we talk about the sustainability, we can look this into 2 important conventional way of conventional vision. One is strong sustainability and weak sustainability. In strong sustainability, there is little, if any, consideration of the financial or the cost of attaining sustainability. It equates to what some call ecological sustainability, and the focus is primarily on the environment. In this case, system quality is taken in terms of the physical measures of the things, for example, population, soil erosion, biodiversity. Strong sustainability denies the degree of substitution. The scale has to be measured in absolute physical limits. So under this strong sustainability, the indicators like eco-capacity, material intensity per unit services, pressure state response indicators, amoeba indicators, these are the strong sustainability indicators. So weak sustainability equates to a sort of economic sustainability where the emphasis is upon allocation of resources and levels of consumption, and financial value is a key element of system quality. So the concept of weak sustainability is based on the new classical economic theory and assumes that manufacture and natural capital are close substitutes. This means that cost of environmental deterioration like forest damage can be compensated by benefit from manufactured capital. So, thus environmental damage are valued in monetary unit. Examples of weak sustainability indicators are damage cost calculation of which can be found in several studies of social cost concept of integrated environment economic accounting like green GDP or multi-dimensional socioeconomic indices like the Index of Sustainable Economic Welfare, damage cost calculation that try to quantify the external effects of environmental pollution. Today, take-home point of today's session is we have touched upon the basic concept of indicators, its characteristic, and when we develop indicators, we have to keep in our mind of the target use and users. What are the available types? Means types of indicators. What are sustainability indicators? Commonly used sustainability indicators are discussed in today, like human development indicators. Even we come from since commonly used sustainability indicators like human development index, ecological footprint, then the different indicators, how SDGs, what are the SDGs, MDGs, SDGs. And the vision of sustainability, all these indicators can look into two important vision of sustainability, that is strong sustainability and weak sustainability concept. So you can use, so further, you can use this reference as a further readings that will help you with this. Thank you. We'll meet in another section. Thanks.